Thank you very much for coming in. This is a big group this morning. I think we'll probably have quite a few more coming in as well. By far our largest parent crowd of the year. I don't know what that says. Mr. Drain is the one speaking this morning. It says me. So I'm not going to take that personally. So some of you may be aware, 2 nights ago, Wednesday night, we had, the high school had acceptance students reception for the incoming 9th graders, the students who applied this year for 9th grade. So they had the reception the other night. They will be at the admissions office, and then high school administrative officers will be sending out a lot of information to those students over the next month or so, just like we did with all of you a year or 2 years ago. Those incoming 9th graders will come to an orientation in June that our students, your sons, won't go to because it'll be really a lot of the nuts and bolts that our guys already know. They will have an orientation in August for all of the students, the root-based students and the incoming 9th graders, all together in August. And they will do, campus ministry will focus the first month on integrating those 2 groups of students. And they do a fantastic job of that. A lot of activities on Fridays in September, early October to really integrate those groups of students. But today we'll start that process with all of you. You can see a little bit on your yellow paper, a couple of the things we'll do for your sons. I will say, it tends to be the parents that are sort of interested in finding out about the high school experience long before the 8th graders do. At best, they start to get interested somewhat in mid-May, maybe late May. But we have a couple of things we'll do for them as it goes along. But anyways, I'm going to turn this over. Charlie Drain is our Vice Principal for Student Affairs. Sorry, not Student Affairs, for Academics, our Academic Vice Principal in the high school. So he's going to lead you through sort of what happens with our high school academic program. And I ask some questions.
I really look forward to this day because it gives me a chance to kind of start thinking about the next crop of guys that are going to come in through the high school. So I'm going to be mostly going through the handout that's on the white piece of paper, and I'll be starting on the one that's got the solid maroon. I didn't put all the slides on there. I put enough just so you had what you needed, but didn't have too many. So it'll be the one that's, well, looks like this, then this one, so I'll begin. So first off, how many of you have sons either in the high school or even have gone through the high school? Okay, only a few. Awesome. So what I'd like to do is give you some of my experiences of what I've seen over the last 12 years now, right? Of a group groups that have come up into the high school. A little advice about what you should expect as parents, what you should see both through the summer, but then early on into the school year. I'll talk to some nuts and bolts about the course selection. I won't get into too much detail because there's a ton of it, but I'll give you a good enough overview, hopefully to make you feel comfortable about the process of selecting courses for next year, and I'll certainly have time for questions at the end. If, as I'm going through, you have questions, please stop me. Just yell out, and I'll try to answer whatever it is you have for me. So, the agenda, I'm going to talk about urban preparedness for the high school as a general idea. Homework is something I want to talk about, that there's a difference that you will notice, your sons will notice. So I want to spend some time on that. Self-advocacy, every year of their lives, we're expecting them, wanting them, needing them to be more advocating themselves, so we'll talk about that. The nuts and boltsy stuff is course offerings, course selection, we'll get there, and again, questions whenever you might have them. So, as I said, we've had now 11, 12, something like that, groups of root-based students who've come up through the high school. And the simplest thing I can tell you is your sons are going to be phenomenally prepared. I can back that up with data, I can back it up with stories. Bob and I, over the years, have looked, how do they do? How do they do when they graduate? How do they do first quarter freshman year? How do they do in terms of their participation in sports or co-curriculars? And your sons do great in all of those measures. So I can really even just leave it at that. I know, I can tell you with confidence, your sons are prepared for what they're going to experience in the high school. I'm not saying it's going to be perfectly smooth every moment. They're going to come in September, whatever it is next year, 3rd, 4th, and everything's going to be roses. They're going to be bumps. It's going to be hard. If it wasn't hard, we wouldn't be doing our job. So, you know, they're prepared for all the years that will come with high school. There'll be transition for them, even though they're here, it's different, right? Middle school to high school, there's a difference. You know, I would argue your sons have an advantage because they've been here, they understand a lot of the terminology, a lot of the experience of BC High, but you will notice a ramping up in certain areas next year, and that's just natural, and we will help you through it. I put language terminology because that is something your sons will have an advantage in. They know the place, they know how to commute here, they know when someone says McElroy where it is, they know where the lunch room is, and they have a sense of how they create their friend groups in lunch. So, you know, in a lot of ways, your sons will have that advantage, and it's a good thing for them. One of the ways that you see the word comfort there, you might think that's great. They'll be comfortable. Now, we want to be comfortable, we want them to have a good time. But one thing we noticed when we opened Arupe, and Arupe students started to come up, is that typical freshman, docile, very obedient, sit there, don't say anything, that kind of changed a little bit. Your guys, they know each other, they're more comfortable. And so it's created a different dynamic in the classes, and that's okay. As Bob mentioned, we'll spend a lot of time at the start of the year trying to make sure the Arupe and the non-Arupe students are well integrated. Every year there's a slightly different mix of Arupe and non-Arupe guys. I think this year what we're looking at is probably close to 50-50. The non-Arupe might slightly outnumber the Arupe might slightly outnumber the non-Arupe next year. But, you know, right around 50-50. So that's good. Always something around that is fine for us in terms of trying to make that transition and make them into a fully formed class. So you'll hear a lot about that. We'll start doing that work, as Bob mentioned, in August into September. And, you know, by October, they're hanging out with non-Arupe guys, and they're sitting at lunch with non-Arupe guys, they're on teams with non-Arupe guys. So it becomes a real community of the students. So, you know, the overall here is they're super well prepared. I know that from groups in the past that have come through, you know, and they're comfortable in a lot of ways. Some of that's very good. Most of it's very good. All right, let's talk about homework for a second. So, just simply, we say the expectation is students should do 30 minutes per class per night. 30 minutes per class per night, they have 6 classes, so about 3 hours. So that's the expectation of what they'll do. I think, to me, where you'll notice the difference is that it's going to be, especially freshman year, heavier in terms of reading. And the main reason I attribute to that is, first of all, they've got religion all year, fully, just as much as every other core course. And they've got biology. Now, I say biology, you think science. The thing is that biology is very much reading and writing based, right? So they're going to have religion every day, all year long. They're going to have biology, English, and history. So 4 classes that are very heavy in reading and writing. Now, if that's a strength of your sons, you may not notice as much of a difference in that area. But regardless, even if it is, there's a volume to that that is certainly going to be something that's good for you to be aware of. You know, their other 2 classes will be their math class and their language class in terms of their core. We'll get to more specifics of the courses in a second. So, if you don't see your son doing 3 hours worth of homework, he may not do 3 hours worth of homework next year, but it should be coming up toward that, right? You might find that your son is someone who always has tended to get his homework done more efficiently than others. You know, that will likely still be the case. It shouldn't change next year. But you should see a ramping up of the homework. You know, and that's all good. It's good preparation for them as they continue on in their schooling. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's something we'll talk again in September about when the school year starts. We'll have back to school night, it's like the second Thursday of the year. You'll hear from me or somebody else, and we'll talk about, okay, here's what freshman year is about. We'll go through in more detail some of the pieces, but I felt it was important to throw that one out today. Next thing I want to touch on is their need to continue to advocate for themselves more. I'm sure that's something that you've been working on with them this year, last year, and every year. Right? They come to you, they say they have an issue, try to push them back to the teacher, try to get them to go to their guidance counselor, try to get them to go to their advisor. Obviously that's good for them, it's a good skill for them, and we're going to continue to push that as well. When we talk about getting extra help, one thing that will not be immediately apparent to them, but I think it's good to say to you all to help, is in Arrupe, the structure is that the teachers stay in classrooms, right, the Chesney, right? So they can be found in a certain area in their classroom areas. In the high school, we operate more in departments. So if your son's looking for a high school teacher and he goes to their classroom at the end of the school day, it very well may be empty. They will be in their office, the department office. I say that not because it's a major thing, right? It's a major obstacle for the kids, but it's a shift that you should think about, right? The students should understand that if I want to go find my teacher, I got to do a little more work maybe, right? My natural thing is, let me go to my classroom, let's see if my teacher's there. Nope, you got to make an appointment with them. You got to tell them, hey, can I see you after school? And the teacher say, of course, yes, meet me in my office, or maybe meet me in the classroom. But they're going to have to, do a little work to arrange that. Make sure the teacher is not seeing two other students after school that day. That might, make it hard for them to talk about whatever the topic is. So that's just one area, an example, I think, that might demonstrate to you a little bit of the shift that you'll see. When problems are encountered, and you'll probably hear me say this again next year, what I would like you to think about is your reaction when your student comes to you and says, I didn't do well in that test, or I couldn't understand that assignment. Is your inclination to go and try to solve that problem for them? Or is your inclination to say, okay, let me help you figure out how to get to the bottom of that? Did you email the teacher? Did you go see the teacher after school? Did you check with one of your friends? Maybe he's got the assignment for you. It's that step where trying to get him to first make a run at something before you all step in and try to solve that for him. Now, I'm not at all trying to say hands off from parents, right? The partnership between the school and the parents is essential. But as you know, your sons are getting older, they're getting more independent. They may naturally be trying to keep you out of some conversations or discussions or questions. We're going to be working with them to try to make sure they're advocating for themselves as well, academically, socially, extracurricular, whatever it might be. In terms of support, you've experienced in Arrupe the advisory model, right? So you've had contact with your son's advisor. You've had your parent conferences in November each year with the advisor, and the advisor will kind of give you the information they get from your students' 6+ teachers. The high school model is slightly different. We do have an advisory program, but it's a little different than the advisory in Arrupe. The advisory in the high school is more an extra adult, another resource for that student to go to someone to connect with if he's got some questions. Our main support structure is guidance. So we have our guidance counselors, and your son will be assigned to a guidance counselor. Ideally, your son will stay with that guidance counselor for the 4 years, unless life situations take over. But generally, our students will stay with the guidance counselor throughout the 4 years. And I think the real strength of our program is our group guidance. So once a cycle, we have a 7-day cycle. Once a cycle, your sons, for the first semester of the year as freshmen, will meet with their guidance counselor. And they'll run through a curriculum. And the curriculum for freshman year will be largely getting involved, integrating, and taking care of themselves, right? That's the focus for group guidance. Create the relationship with the guidance counselor, with the other guys in the group, which will be 7, 8, 9, 10 kids, something like that. And then what will happen is sophomore year and junior year and senior year, that curriculum will change. Not surprisingly, as they get toward junior year, toward senior year, that curriculum shifts over a little bit toward college counseling. But they spend a lot of time in freshman year and into sophomore year just making sure they're acclimated well, they understand the resources that are available to them. So support, plenty of support for your sons, just a different model. And I think I covered the parental involvement part there as well, right? We want your involvement, we need communication with you, but what you are going to start to see is the need for your son to try to do the advocating on his own, at least first, right? Take a shot at it, see how he does, see if he's able to manage that. So free periods is a time when they'll get some of their work done. You know, the good commuters, you know, they get on at the start of a line, you know, they might be able to get some of their work done there. So I'm not saying they got to be sitting down at home for 3 hours, but you know, they can find their moments to get some stuff done. But in total, it should be 3 hours. I put up here a 4-year kind of progression of courses. I'm not going to go through it all in great detail. I will talk about freshman year. Right. So in freshman year, the 6 core courses are listed first. So Christian thought, English, some sort of math course, wherever he is in the progression. Global history, some sort of language, French, Spanish, Latin, Chinese, and biology. Right? So those are the 6 courses they will take all year long, pretty much every day. On top of that, they take health and Rupe, the group guidance that I just talked about, and they'll have a fine art course. We'll get to fine arts in a few minutes. There are a lot of options, somewhat complicated, but I'll get to that in a minute. So that's their freshman year. Other than that, I'm sure, as I've been talking, you've been looking at the other things up here, so I'm not going to go through them. But what I want to point out is what you see here. Right? By the time they get to senior year, they got some choice. They have a lot of choice. Now, you'll even see the word elective, you know, occasionally throughout the other years. Right? So, pretty prescriptive freshman year, right? You're going to take these 6 courses plus health, group guidance, and fine arts. But things start to branch out after that. And again, particularly once they get to here, you know, they're much more interested in math and science. Great. You know, here's this set of courses you can take. You're much more of a humanities guy. Great. Here's a bunch of courses to take. You have no idea what you are. Perfect. Take some of each. Right? They'll have an option. They need to take 3 years of language in the high school. And it's not because we don't consider what they've done in Arupe good enough. It's because colleges want to see 3 years. Now, the reality is colleges want to see 4 years of everything, but that's not possible. So we say you got to take 3 years of the same language in the high school. So most of your sons, assuming they don't switch, right? They were in Spanish 7 and 8 or Chinese 7 and 8, and so forth. They're going to be in Spanish 2 or 2 honors, Chinese 2 or 2 honors, French 2 honors, Latin 2 honors. One of those classes, most of your sons will take. So they'll just take Spanish 2 honors as a freshman, 3 or 3 honors as a sophomore, AP as a junior would be kind of a typical progression, but they'll still take 3 years. Now, the guys that love language and want to continue, one of these will be language. But for a guy who says either, I don't like it, I just finished with Spanish 4, regular, I'm done with it, that's great, they move on to something else. Or even if they got to the AP, they liked it, but they want to try something else. The only time they lose out an elective in terms of language is if they switch in the high school. So maybe they're in Chinese now, they took Chinese 7 and 8, they take Chinese 2 honors as a freshman, and then say, you know what, I want to try Latin. Then they're still going to have to take 3 years of Latin in the high school, which will take away one of their electives here. But that's fairly rare as well. All right, so let's take a look at math. If you like this, great. If you think this is overwhelming, log me. So this, I was a math teacher, so I like it. So this is a graphical representation of your son's math progression. Who's overwhelmed? All right, so here's the thing. What I really want to say to you about math is, no matter where he starts in 9th grade, right? So take this column here. No matter where he starts, he can get to calculus. So if that's your goal for your son in terms of math, if you think he would have an incomplete high school experience if he didn't have calculus, that's not everybody, he can get there. No question, no matter where he starts. All right. Now, I will tell you that calculus is the absolute best class we teach in the school. It is awesome. It's beautiful. I love it. But not every kid has to take it. But I understand that for a lot of people, you want your kid to get to calculus. You think that that's valuable for them. I appreciate that. And he can get there. And he can travel a whole bunch of different paths to get wherever he's going to get in math. Trying to answer what the college is looking for is difficult. If your son's not going to take 4 years of math, there has to be a compelling and obvious story for the college to see, not beat them over the head with it. They got to see it in his transcript and say, oh, I can see why he didn't take 4 years of math. He takes Greek and Latin. Clearly he has an interest in the classics. He took 7 classics courses at BCI. Okay, I can see why he didn't take math. He clearly loves classics. Or he takes AP US and AP Euro and AP World History. Okay, this kid clearly loves history. Yeah, I can see why he didn't take 4 years of math. 90-something% of our kids take 4 years of math. They have to take 4 years of English, have to take 4 years of religion. Most take 4 years of math. And then history, science, and language are probably evenly mixed after that in terms of who takes 4 years and who takes 3 years. All right, course selection.
March 25th, Tom will present, and Dean will present to the Arupe students, and after that, they'll get this form, they'll start bringing it home. They'll have about 10 days to sort of fill it out.
Okay, and I'll say it probably a number of times because I want to make sure it's clear. This is not this year's form, this is last year's form. Right? Tom's working on it, changing it. It won't change drastically. So don't hold to everything that's on here. There might be dates on here too. I may have cut them off, but it's last year's. We'll get you'll get a hard copy of this year's. All right. So course selection. It's a two-sided form that you're going to get, and we're going to ask you for a bunch of information. Obviously, the name. If he's not returning for 9th grade, we need that information. You don't have to do the rest of it. Normal course load, we just talked about that. And then fine arts is going to be here, language and math on the other side. All right? So, let's talk fine arts. This is the most complicated. It's probably the most complicated because we give the most options. There are 3 general ways that your son could start getting his fine art credit. He needs to take the equivalent of 1 full course in fine art by the time he graduates, 1 credit. But there's a ton of ways to do it. The first way is outside of the school day, right? So he does a band or he does a choir. Chamber orchestra, jazz big band, jazz rock ensemble, concert band, and we have 2 different choirs, the concert choir and the liturgical musicians. So, where was my question about band? So, here's the thing. Most of the bands go all year. However, some of them allow the students to come in and out. Now, I know for a student that likes band and likes sports, it causes a conflict in his time. We do the best we can to mitigate that, but we also can't say to the bands, no, you got to let a kid go in and out because he wants to play basketball. Because the band people say, yeah, but if he leaves November 30th when basketball starts, our Christmas concert is 2 weeks away. You can't have it for the whole, first third of the year, and then he leaves for the concert. So we do the best we can within the structure that we have and the concert schedules and all that to try to make it so that kids can come in and out. I think it's the rock ensemble is the one they can jump in and out of most easily. Concert band a little bit as well. The chamber is smaller, very specialized, so kids jumping in and out of that would be too disruptive, so forth. The choirs both meet in the morning, so there's really no conflict to those. And it's a very popular choice for the students. Concert choir, I think, has like 160 kids in it right now. It's awesome. It's cool to just walk into Bulger and watch 160 kids singing. They do concerts, they do big Christmas concerts, they do some in-school ones, they travel locally, do some concerts, and then they go abroad to do concerts. They went to Rome last year, went with them, and they're going to Switzerland this year, I am going with them. So it's great. White House they've done just twice. White House, awesome trip for them. So it's great, it's a great option. The Church of Musicians is probably about 50 guys. They stick at the masses mostly. They do a few other shows, but mostly they do the masses. And it's called Musicians because it's not just singers. There are some guys playing instruments too. Online at some point we'll be posted the course catalog for next year. Much more detailed descriptions of all of those will be in there more than what I'm just saying here. All right, so that's option one. That's your kid is talented, interested, and plays or sings. That's group one. Group two is your kid is talented and interested, and he wants to do stuff in the classroom during the school day, not before or after school, to a little bit more extent than what you'll see down here, which are shorter amounts of time. So he's visually, right? Drawing, sculpting, that's his interest. Visual Foundation is a great course there. Ms. Myers will be talking to him if she thinks that would be a good course for him to take, and she'll be trying to encourage him to do it. Doesn't mean if she doesn't talk to him, he can't, but she'll be certainly trying to drum up numbers with that course. Theater, kid likes acting. He wants to just do a little bit more during the school day in terms of acting. There's, of course, Theater Foundations goes for a semester every day. That's what these ones are. For a whole semester every day in terms of theater. And same thing in music. We have a music makers course where they kind of make their own instruments and then obviously play them. So, not before school, after school, not be in a band or sing in a choir, but still, let me get a little bit more art than what you're going to see in the second. So that's kind of the second option. Third option is your son doesn't really know where his interest lies in terms of art, and he just wants to kind of get a feel for something. So we have a menu of courses. Like I said, this is last year's, but looking at it, I think they're all going to be offered again. So he's got options in all different areas that help him just start to get an understanding of art. So whether it's drawing or photography, or something to do with drama, or something to do with music, or singing, he's got options there. Most kids will take 4 of these over the course of their 4 years. We also have courses that aren't listed here. Courses that are semester courses that sophomores, juniors, and seniors take: sculpting, advanced digital photography, art history, and a lot of others that I'm not remembering right now. So a lot of options there, but they can take just 4 of these to be fine. But they could do 1 of these freshman year and then be in a choir or band, or they could do Visual Foundations as a freshman and then end up taking APR as a senior or a junior. All kinds of options. These are half the year, or half of the time. These are half the year every day. So they'll get a quarter credit for these, they'll get a half credit for these. So, they take math every day all year. They're going to take Visual Foundations every day, half the year. They'll take DigiPhoto half the year, every other day.
So the other time is a
Free.
period.
Yeah. So the downside is these guys lose their free periods in the second semester. They like art, they like drama, they like music, they'll give it up. The top one, they'll get, for the second half of the year, 6 free periods, 1 free period every day, basically.
And how many credits is that?
Depends. So, concert choir is 3/4, liturgical is a half. I think all the bands are 3/4, but I'm not sure. It's all based on time, how often they meet. Liturgical musicians meet just once a week on Friday mornings. The choir meets twice a week. It depends on their voice, tenor, bass, baritone. The kids who are acting in the play or do the lights, do the stage work in the plays, they get credit as well. Lead actor, they get half credit or 3/4. If you're the light guy, maybe it's 1/4 credit. As you can see from what I'm describing there, I said you got to get 1 credit. They can get, I don't know what the most a kid's ever gotten, but it could be like 4. And that's great, no problem. The question was, can you take 2, take like be in the concert choir and take visual foundations. It's just a time issue, right? So we can have a conversation about what's your commute, how much homework is he going to do, how does he do homework, is he good at it, is he not efficient at it? You do choir, you're here 2 mornings a week at 7 to 20, that's some time the kids get homework done. So if we're giving up that time, it might be good that he has some time in the second semester where he doesn't have, intro to drawing or visual foundations. But we can discuss that. We asked for 1 to 4. Really, the reason I want 1 to 4 is I want to know where the interest lies, almost like a survey. But one or 2 is very likely. I don't recommend any combination of them. The top and the bottom would be the least time, the least overload to him. Middle and bottom would not be possible. But the top and the bottom, I mean, you know your son, and we can talk about it, but I think time is the thing I'm concerned about.
One of the conversations we have with the guys when they're filling this out, when they're looking at, do I want to take a visual foundations where I'll have no free periods, or a 1/4 credit where I'll have some free periods. A lot of times I ask them, what do you need a free period for? Because for some guys, hey, they are so busy with the rest of their day. They've got sports, they've got scouts, they've got a lot of things. They need that time. For other guys, it's like, well, no, I get my homework done, stuff, but then I go home and I'm playing video games. And I say, wouldn't it be better to take this, you like art, wouldn't it be better to have more art? And, okay, so 3 days a week, you're getting fewer free periods, so that means 3 days a week you don't have as much time for video games. That's where it comes down to your son, where he uses his time, how efficient he is with homework, all of that stuff. So there are guys that can take more because they have less going on. There are guys that are so packed with everything else they're doing, they're on 3 sports teams, etc. They're going to need to go a little lighter.
Second side of the course selection sheet is going to be language and math. Language. All right. That was the hard one, so we're good. This is going to be light. What language is your son taking? That's easy. Does he want to continue in that? Easy. And does he want to be considered for level 2? We'll ask that same question for math. You might say, my kid's in Spanish, he's taking Spanish 7, Spanish 8, advanced, whatever. He's done great, but you know what? He's in 3 sports and his commute is long, and you know what? Let's just do regular. Let's not do honors next year. You can tell us that, and even if our Spanish folks say, no, he should take honors, you say he's not going to take honors, he's not taking honors. No problem. Then the other question is, does he want to stay in that language? And if he wants to switch, what does he want to switch to? Okay? So, if he's not planning on continuing, you can tell us which of the 3 you want him to take, and again, give us a rank, 1, 2, and 3. He's gonna get his first choice. But again, it helps us to understand what the interest is in the language. So if he's in Spanish right now, he's like, nah, I want to try French. Okay, fine, no problem. So just say continue, no, French 1, put Chinese or Latin as a 2 or a 3, just for us. In terms of placement. We will use his current teacher, a recommendation from his current teacher, in conversation with the department chair to help decide whether he's going to place in the Spanish 2 honors, say take Spanish, as a freshman. Okay, so you can say, nah, I don't want him to take honors. That's fine. If you say, yeah, I'd like to consider it, great. And then we will go through a process within for the rest of the year, along with the department chair, to figure out, does he place, is he qualified, is he ready for the level 2 honors class, which would be the typical place that most guys would make. Anything I should add to that, or is that good enough?
No, they do it a little differently in each subject, each of the 4 languages. But
That's why I was a little vague. So they don't want to continue, parent wants to continue. Yeah, I mean, I think what I would recommend for you is talk to his advisor, see if you can run that avenue to get him to stay. And ultimately, it's going to be your call. So we'll go with you, but I don't necessarily want to get in the middle. B versus an A, honors versus regular, doesn't alarm me. C versus A, that's taking an honors and getting a C is not going to help him college-wise. Now, it might help him challenging himself, right? And hey, maybe he takes an honors as a freshman, gets a C, takes an honors as a sophomore, gets a B, takes an honors as a junior, gets an A. You know, that shows growth, and the colleges will like that and see that. But to me, if you think the best he's going to do taking an honors is to get a C, I would take the regular class as a freshman, see how he does. He gets a B+, A-, he's doing well. You look at the rest of his course choices for the next year, yeah, then maybe bump it up to an honors. But the reality is, put your kid where you think he's going to be most successful, most happy, comfortable. That's the best you can do. You know, if you think it's going to be too much for him, especially as a freshman, put him in a lower level, see how it goes. You got plenty of time to bump him up. Colleges count honors and AP classes. I wish it wasn't the case, they do. They spend less and less time every year reviewing applications. So they have to narrow it down to things that are easily quantifiable for them. They count honors and AP classes. They also look at the progression of the courses. So I would say he's better off start at the regular in some cases, and then show that progression to sophomore year to junior year to senior year, as opposed to start too high, have to drop down. That's all just general. The specific kid, the specific instance, you know, you're gonna have to work with us, the guidance counselor, current advisor, and we'll do the best we can. But it's complicated, but really put them in the best place. College, it'll work itself out. There's a lot of great colleges out there. All right, let me move to math. Even simpler. What's he taking? I think most guys are in these. Might have a couple guys that are in something else, but most guys are in these. Check what he's in. If he's in Algebra 1, do you want Geometry Honors? If he's in Geometry Honors, do you want him to be considered for Algebra 2 Honors? Again, this is a place where you may even more likely say, you know what? I think the regular class is a better place for him. I saw that awesome flow chart that Bob created, and he can get wherever he wants. So, you know, you might say, nah, I'm good. He's in Geometry Honors, but I'd rather Algebra 2, or he's in Algebra 2, not Algebra 1, I'd rather regular geometry. I will say, in that awesome flow chart, it is easier if he's in honors to stay in honors, right? So it's considered not just a natural move to go from regular geometry to Algebra 2 honors, right? So if you think that's the path you want him on, you know, Algebra 2 honors as a sophomore, Calculus AP as a junior, Calculus BC as a senior, something like that, unless you're being told, I don't think it's good for him to be in Geometry Honors, I would go for it. If he's doing great in Algebra 1 and they're saying, yeah, I think I'd recommend him for it, as long as, again, that same comment from last time, as long as he's not going to get a C in it, it's probably good, even if he gets a B, right? Even if he has to work hard and get a B in Geometry Honors, it puts him in the right path. It keeps his options more open. But hey, the other thing is, you know, Algebra 1, get a solid foundation in Algebra 1, get to Geometry Honors, get to Algebra 2 Honors, get to Calculus as a senior. That's awesome. It's a great progression.
They're consistent with their homework, they're doing it well, they're doing well on the test, their preparation's good, they're ready to be an honors student, they're ready to take it, to jump up and do that. Again, once in a while you do have something that, you know, there's a different circumstance or whatever, you change that. Pretty much the math teachers say, and they know the program well enough, and math is probably the most integrated of the departments, 7 through 12, in the sense that the Algebra 1 course in 8th grade is the same as the Algebra 1 course in 9th grade, so they have a very good sense of, you know, they're doing this in my class, they're good for geometry, they're for honors and math.
I hope that his experience next year in Algebra 1 excites him more about math than keeps them pushing in that direction. And I think a conversation with his math teacher next year to say, this is your impression, how can I get him more excited about it? And just find opportunities to kind of light a fire under him if you think he's got that aptitude and he just hasn't found the interest quite yet. The books are still, by and large, on the iPad. You'll see their note-taking be similar to Arube. For some kids in some classes, their preference is Notability or some note-taking app. Some teachers will say, no iPads, I want you to take notes on paper, based upon the discipline and maybe just the type of course of what they're doing. But yeah, I would say you'll see a similar usage of the iPads in the high school. I think it's something we talk about all the time. We understand the distractibility of that device. We understand the benefit of the device. That Apple instituted or put in the Apple Classroom feature, which is a way that the teacher can, when the student comes into the room, can tie into the iPad, and more importantly, more easily maybe at the end of class, can go on and see if your son found his way somewhere else during class, and then help correct that behavior. I know they're not always the most popular with parents because of the other things that kids can do on the iPads, and I can just tell you we're going to keep working. I'm the guy that's walking around every morning, cafeteria and lunch, cafeteria and library, telling guys, get off that game, get doing your homework. We are attentive to it. It's a challenge, but I think it's a reality that we have to face. So they'll look the same. They just don't have to wear the Arube shirt. They can wear whatever shirt they want. So it could be like a polo type shirt. It could be a button-down shirt. But any kind of pants. They can be any color in the high school. Sneakers are fine. Got to wear a belt. Tuck in the shirt. No real difference. Just not the maroon shirt. Collar. Yep. So sports, team format and time. Generally, it's freshman JV varsity, freshman junior varsity, so generally 3 teams. Although, for you all who have rising freshmen, there's a freshman team in almost everything. Like the freshman golf team, because golf is so small. Freshman swimming.
Or wrestling.
But really, everything else is a freshman team in it. So, in that respect, there's plenty of team opportunities. It's not one per grade, but there's plenty of sports opportunities. Time-wise, probably a little bit more in terms of the length of the season and also the practice commitment. For example, Arube basketball, they do tryouts right before Christmas, but they don't really do anything until after Christmas. High school starts Monday after Thanksgiving, and they just finished, fortunately, 2 days ago. So, a little bit longer season. Practices, they'll pretty much have something 6 days a week, practice before game. So the commitment definitely ramps up. There'll be a page on the website that has all kinds of in preparation information, and we'll get those dates up there pretty soon. Most of them will be not drastically beforehand, so we'll start that freshman convocation, we bring everybody together, will be the Tuesday or Wednesday night before Labor Day. Tryouts will be right around there. Soccer and football will start around there. Golf, they'll all be right around that time. So they're not going to be really early in August, but it'll certainly be the week before Labor Day.
Usually the coaches will have some meetings over in Arube towards the end of May, early June. But the golf coach will have a meeting. I think the football coach usually does soccer as well to start to get that information out. But it'll also be posted on the website. It's usually by mid-May or something.
Our grading in the high school is very traditional, right? A minus, B plus, B, B minus. We give an effort to citizenship grade numbers 1 through 4. So very traditional. Your sons have seen that before. Somewhere along the way they've seen that, and even in Arube they've seen some of it, right? So I don't think I notice a real struggle for them in transitioning to that. I think that the current system is good and appropriate developmentally for them in order to understand, here are standards we want you to meet, right? And we're going to keep helping you try to get to that standard. And what they're going to see as they get to 9th grade is teachers are still willing to help get them to that standard, but maybe fewer opportunities to try again, and the need to, hey, we got to move on. You got a certain amount of time to get here, and then we got to get to the next thing. We got to keep pushing on. So it is a transition, but I don't think it's overwhelming. And again, they've had experience with traditional grading systems. It's not going to be something they look at and they're completely baffled by it. But there's coordination of topics within disciplines. So when social studies is doing this, they just might be doing that. But it's not nearly as integrated as the team approach, where you get 3 people all day together with the same 40 students doing projects. So no, it'll be, again, more of a traditional, what you would remember traditional high school set up to be. But we're not oblivious to the fact that interdisciplinary activities, projects, work is good for them. And we try within our structure as best we can to find opportunities, but it's not nearly as what you see with the team approach. So the typical science progression is biology freshman year, chem sophomore year, physics junior year. 90% of the kids can do that, biochem, physics. Chemistry, they have chemistry or chemistry honors. Physics, we have the full slate of advanced placement physics classes. And we just started, this year or last year, offering AP Physics to juniors. So they had the opportunity to take 2 years of an AP Physics. We have AP Chemistry, AP Environmental Science, AP Biology. So our science department is our biggest department in the school because most kids take 3 years, many kids take 4 years, and we have a ton of electives. So even outside the APs, forensic science, marine biology, human physiology, astronomy, lots of science opportunities, whether it's on the AP track or not. Community service, graduation requirement. There's also a retreat graduation requirement. The community service requirement for freshmen is pretty minimal. I think it's 10 hours, maybe 15. And it's in their home setting. Doesn't mean at your house, although if you'd like that to be the case, you can. But it's community service in their current environment. As they get to sophomore year, they got to branch out a little bit, and I think it's 25 hours. And then as juniors, it's 60 hours. And that one, it now has to be in an underserved population. So a lot of guys will do soup kitchens, or shelters of some sort, but they'll also go and travel. So we had a group down in New Orleans, February vacation, doing their service there. DR, the Dominican Republic, is a place where guys will go in April to do their community service. So absolutely community service is required. Again, I think it's like 10, 20, and 60 hours, or 10, 25, 60, something like that. And then what we'll see, we actually took it away from seniors. It used to be seniors did the lion's share of it, and any of you that have older kids know that senior year is a lot. There's a lot going on. And so we felt, let's pull it back from senior year, let's get into junior year while they're still here and still have another year with us, but we also notice a lot of kids continue doing it. Just quickly, you didn't say it, but retreats. Freshman retreat, sophomore retreat are in-house. 2 groups of kids, 2 classes of kids will have it each time. And then they have another retreat they have to do, which the most common is our Kairos retreat. It's down in the Cape, 4 days. But we also have a wilderness retreat. They go up to New Hampshire. Discover retreat. They also go up to New Hampshire. They have a movie retreat. They stay here and watch a couple of movies overnight. Photography retreat.
Cooking.
Yeah, cooking. Soul food retreat, they call it. So all kinds of options in that area too. The course catalog will be available, so you can look through the whole range of it. But computer science, we have a semester computer science course, a full-year computer science course, AP computer science course. The robotics team is a very involved team. It's an extracurricular, not during the day, but also that is there as an option as well. Let me wrap up. Thank you very much. I will stick around, so if you have more questions, feel free to come on up. Thank you.